Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Progeny Podcast. Today I am joined by Al-Hajj Amir Taki. Amir needs no introduction, and I have had the honor of working with Amir for nearly 10 years. Amir co-founded Ahlulbayt TV in 2009, and he worked as the executive director until 2019. Today he provides production solutions and media strategy to different organizations. Amir Taki, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining the Progeny Podcast. You're a very busy man.
Not as busy as you.
La, Allah, not busy at all. But alhamdulillah, I've known you for a long time. In fact, I've known Amir from the first day he came to this country, I think. Or the first maybe month.
Probably the first week.
For the first week. Because, believe it or not, we were neighbors in Maidavale. Right. We lived in the same block, and alhamdulillah, that's when the family relationship started. Mothers and fathers are good friends, alhamdulillah.
266-0583.
I can't believe you know that. That's my telephone number. 266-0583. You know that number maybe because when you're in trouble, you call that number. You were told.
I used to call you. When I used to call you to speak to you, your dad has a voicemail. Assalamu alaikum, this is Ali Masoud, 266-0583.
He has to say the number.
That's the number. That's how I remember. That's
Subhanallah.
30 years ago? No, 25 years ago.
Yeah, close.
Getting a bit older. Don't do age
94, 95.
Yeah, that's right.
Around those. And we went to the same primary school and then
that's right.
Different secondary schools, obviously. But, and we have, I wanted to ask first about, why you, obviously I know, but for our listeners, why the move to England and London. Why did your family decide to come here?
So my dad in the early 90s decided to move to leave Syria. We had lived in Syria since the mid 80s. We had migrated from Kuwait, where I was born, and we lived in Syria for a number of years. And towards the end of the 80s and early 90s, my dad decided to move to London, primarily because of educational reasons. Obviously, the UK better, but more interestingly enough is that my dad was involved heavily in politics, and he felt that after the 91 uprising, there's a lot of Iraqis that had left Iraq and came to Syria, and there was a lot of Ba'athi infiltration. So he felt, they caught somebody who was trying to put poison in his tea. And there was feeling unease at that time. So it could either be an assassination attempt or it could be disturbance, or basically he felt that this place is not for me. And he decided he said, look, it's better that we all go. We need a change of scenery. This is getting a bit overwhelming as a country. And obviously, London is a better state of living, better conditions. And that's why we moved.
And obviously you were in Syria because you fled the Ba'athist regime.
Yeah, my father and my mother had a dramatic experience in Iraq. Before getting married, they were thrown out of Iraq in the early 80s and towards obviously late 70s, where anybody who they felt had Iranian kind of descendants, even though my parents, both of them, they had Iraqi passports, they've lived there for many years.
Born in Iraq,
even my great-grandparents, but they were accused of having Iranian relations. My grandfather was in the army. My father also had to be in the army as part of the duty, but they came to arrest. My mum's side was arrested and they were taken to prison. And anybody under 18 from the male side was kept in prison. Over 18 was taken away. And obviously, till now, 3 of my uncles and 2 of my aunties from my dad's side and my mum's side were incarcerated and they were executed. We found out later, in the late 80s, they were killed. So obviously, there was a huge campaign by the Ba'ath Party to undermine anybody who they felt was too religious or had Iranian descent or was part of a political party, and they were killed, executed, incarcerated, and effectively wiped out.
Maybe I'll ask. I don't want to ask this later, so I'll ask it now before I forget the question. How much of that affected Amir Taki today? What Amir is today? How much of that, knowing that I've got 2 aunties from my father's side executed, 3 uncles from my mother's side. How much of that had an effect on you, if any?
So I vividly remember in the late 80s, I walked into my parents' house, living in Syria. We were in a 3rd floor flat. I walked into the room, and as soon as I saw my mum, she had just fainted in front of me. And I didn't know at that time, being 8 or 7 years old, what was going on. But it was very dramatic to see your mother faint in front of you. And I was like, I don't understand why at that time, but I found out later. That's the time she found out that her brothers were killed, or and the news reached her. Obviously, we don't know exactly when that happened, but that was for me kind of growing up in a place where there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of kind of missing your loved ones, and the sacrifice that a lot of the Shia communities, a lot of Iraqis who had been thrown out or lived under Saddam, just gave me and gave everyone around me the impetus to be able to serve the community at large and to do well for everybody. I remember a few months back, I was asking people, I was doing a documentary on prisoners in Iraq, and that group of people that were taken, we understand that they were killed in 3 separate ways. So they either were used as mine clearing individuals. So they would walk on areas where there's mines. So for the Iraqi army to move forward, there's been a lot of mines that have been installed. So for them to clear it, they would send prisoners ahead, and the prisoners have to step on the mine. Obviously, they don't know where the mines are, but to clear the area. And so that's one way that those prisoners were killed. The other way is they were tested on using chemical weapons. So there's a lot of chemical training or chemical testing at the time. And instead of, the Ba'ath regime, they must have done it on animals, but at the same time, they done it on people to see how people react to these chemicals. And the final thing is that their bodies was used, or their limbs were used to support the soldiers that were fighting in Iraq. So blood transfusion, organs that need to be exchanged, because obviously when you have
transplant,
when you're alive, your organs are still useful, and so they were used to supplement the existing soldiers. So it's very horrific, really, and very saddening. But it just shows the sacrifice that your predecessors went through, and especially obviously the Ahlulbayt and how they fought to persevere religion. And then it comes to us, and we live in very comfortable lives, and we can do more to serve our community, and that's why it really gives me that impetus to do so
it
much.
had a big impact.
Of course.
Coming to, you mentioned service. You, from a young age, you dedicated yourself to serving the community, and you mentioned the passing away of your uncles and family members encouraged you to serve. How did you go about serving? What was the first thing you remember when it comes to serving your community?
So I remember when I was young in Syria, I used to help out in cooking every Muharram. I don't know, people when they go to Iraq, they'll see they put out firewood in the streets, and they put 2 blocks next to the firewood, and they put a huge pot of rice, and they cook the whole day. So there's like 10 of them lined up outside, and they cover the pot with a tray, and they put more coal on top to cook it from both sides. And I remember I used to help the man when they used to slaughter the sheep. It's a bit
traumatic a bit.
Yeah, so we had to obviously use the meat, but
that's quite trauma. Someone yesterday, subhanallah, I won't mention their name, someone yesterday told me when they were 8 years old, they went back home. And when they went back home, it was Eid al-Adha. So they slaughtered the sheep. Before that, it was Eid al-Adha, so they had the sheep in the house. So this person started playing with the sheep. They made friends with the sheep. They're playing with the sheep. They're playing with the sheep. They're now best friends with the sheep. They're only 8 years old. And then they slaughter the sheep. And then afterwards, they give them the meat. And they said, this is the
That's
So it was for that. I turned vegan after that. Vegetarian,
oh my
not
God,
me.
yeah. That happens. If you see a bad slow, no, that didn't affect me. Alhamdulillah, I was eating meat quite excessively
Alhamdulillah.
afterwards. But what was funny afterwards is that the man gives me a bag, which had the kidneys and the liver and the
قلب وكلام
gullob, and he goes, take it to the Sheikh's house. And the Sheikh's house used to be through an area which was very deserted. So I would go carrying a plastic bag full of
meat.
blood-ridden bag, and then it's leaking, and the dogs would run after me.
La ilaha illallah. That was traumatic.
That was traumatic. Yeah, alhamdulillah, in Syria I was a star at that time, but when I came to London I got involved more as kind of, attended the community. I went to attended like Rasul A'zam at the young age when they never had a center. We used to go there. They used to have a house, and then they bought a place. And I was involved in the mosque quite early on, doing lots of activities for young people, football training, youth lectures. Then we had a youth magazine called Youth Today. It started off as a 4-page newsletter, ended up to be 24-page magazine, we circulated 5,000 copies around the country. Had about 3 or 4 years of doing this almost. It was quarterly, every 3 months, and that was a good experience because at that time there was nothing in English, hardly anything in English, and that was a good opportunity to engage with different writers. We were editing the content and publishing it into print format. That was now I don't think that's relevant, but back then to have something in your hand was very profound. People were like, wow, that's amazing. And I grew up in a center where everything was Arabic, traditional, Karbala'i, centered around Husseini traditions and rituals and stuff and whatnot. But I thought we need to do something different here. We need to speak the language of the people, and that was the first kind of real proper big project that I undertook or got involved in.
There was a photo circulating. I don't know if this was before the press or of you filming. You got a camera and Basim's reading. I think that was like the early 90s.
Me filming, maybe, yeah. I don't know.
You were standing next to a camera.
I was doing Latam probably.
Yeah, you were doing Latam and you were standing next to a camera.
Yeah.
So you were always involved in the media side from a very young age.
Yeah, I mean, having a magazine, for me, it was about telling stories. How could I speak to you in a way that you understand? How can I speak to the other brothers the way they understand? And storytelling is the core of what I enjoy and what you enjoy as well. Telling stories, speaking to people. So now we're telling stories. We're talking, and we're relating how things happen. And for me, it was about, at that time, it was maybe magazine. Tomorrow was camera. The day after, podcast, audio, animation. It doesn't matter. It's about how can you tell a profound and important story to someone else, the way they understand it, the way they can consume it in the best way possible. And that's that's what kind of I used to think these are just tools. Tomorrow you have the metaverse, you have you're buying land in the metaverse, you convert that into a exhibition. It's crazy, but it's about storytelling, and that's what I love the most. I mean, even with documentaries and filmmaking, it's the same thing. It's about telling a story so well that people, when they listen to it, they understand it. And you see this, the best speakers in the world, be it Shia or Sunni, are very articulate in their nature. It's not about knowing the most traditions or knowing the most verses. It's about how well can you tell a story.
How you deliver that.
How you deliver that story is, how can you deliver that in the best way possible that people can engage with. And you have maraja that are not very articulate, but they're very knowledgeable. And so storytelling here, at the core of it, is how you can deliver that story in the most impactful way. And I just enjoyed that in that format.
In 2009, you went on to co-establish one of the first, if not the first actually, exclusively English Muslim Shia channel. How did that come about? How did you start Ahlulbayt TV?
So I was involved with so Sayyid Mehdi Mudarrisi came to London in I think 2007.
Was Haraka before this or after this?
Haraka was before.
Okay, maybe we should speak about Haraka first.
We should speak about Umrah, by the way.
Oh, so Umrah was before.
Umrah was like 05.
Okay, yes. Umrah was the one that you got arrested in.
Beaten up, arrested,
Yeah.
raped, as it called.
as Wikipedia mentions.
Yeah.
So Umrah was 2005.
I think so, yeah.
How you organized that trip?
Yeah, me, Mustafa,
Field.
Yeah, so we had before that, 2 trips before that.
So
We
this
had
was now your third trip.
Muhammad Qazwini was the organizer. The imam or the religious leader. Said Ammar came with us a few times as well. Once, I can't remember. But we organized Umrah trips. And that year specifically, we took both women and men and women. You know, we wanted to give opportunity for
So
sisters.
other times you were just
boys. Yeah, just boys. Very, Syria.
Relaxed.
Yeah, very relaxed. Very, boyish. But this time we wanted to take our sisters with us. And, we couldn't get any speakers. Said Jawad Qazwini came with us. And we had a very famous...
There's a video on YouTube of Sayyid Jawad Qazwini in that Umrah trip. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, I'll show you later. There's a video of him in Masjid al-Shajara.
What's he saying? What does he say?
Doing the talbiyah.
Maybe.
I think Muhammad al-Khazraji's YouTube page,
Maybe,
if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. No, there is a lot of footage.
Yeah,
that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, we saw it on YouTube.
We had a camera with us, pranks and everything else that wasn't supposed to happen. But we had an altercation, and that led to,
that's what you're going to call it, an altercation.
Yeah.
It was more than that.
Yeah,
It was all over the news.
Yeah, it was,
I remember it was quite big.
Let's say it, yeah. It got out of hand, to be honest with you, and we were we were scared, honestly, because we didn't know what could happen.
And lucky to come out of that.
Yeah, we thought something's gonna happen, and we were very worried that someone can get abducted, someone can get arrested. We had issued a case against the person that hit us, because we got arrested.
So 2005, you've gone to Umrah, you've had a fight in the Masjid al-Haram.
So Sayyid Jawad was taken by the police for
reciting dua.
No, he was telling the people. He said you shouldn't insult the Shia. This was in Hajr Ismail. Someone was insulting a Shia woman and a boy, and he stood up for them. He said, "Why are you doing this? It's not acceptable." So they took him. We were sitting down. We're just sitting on the side of the Haram, and we said, we got to help this guy out. Me and Mustafa Field and all the boys rallied around. About 15 of us, 20 of us boys, and the girls who stayed behind. And he said, "Don't let them take me into the basement of the Mutawwa, which is the people that enjoin good and forbid evil, because these people are aggressive." So we said, "Don't take him. We want the police station instead. The police are, the state officials. They're regulated, civilized." We said, "Fine." So we took him. We went with him. We're escorting this. He's been reprimanded and he's been taken. They took him to the cell inside the Haram. So we haven't left the vicinity of the Haram. He's taken inside. So I wanted to go with him. The police officer said, "No, you can't come in." I said, "I want to go in because I'm the group leader and I want to be with the guy. He's under my responsibility."
You're 21 here.
Probably, yeah.
21.
Probably, yeah.
21 years old.
Yeah. The way it's different. Yeah, the 21-year-olds now, it's just different. Each maturity is different.
Yeah.
So I said, "I'm the group leader. I'm going in. Sorry." He goes, "No, you can't." He goes, "Few minutes, he'll be out."
Just wait outside.
Yeah, just wait outside. And the room, when I looked inside, it was only 3 meters length and then maybe 1 meter, 1.5 wide. It wasn't very... Although I looked up this way and I could see a prison cell on top of a staircase. That looked a bit weird, but anyway, we were outside. In the space of about a minute, all we heard was loud screams, like shouting of pain and anguish. And I said, what is going on? And so...
You rushed in the room.
I felt like a urge out of control to see what's going on. Not that I wanted to go inside and, but there's a rush in me. Maybe it's like, this is a friend. Something happened, something urgent. I need to go in and see what's happening. Otherwise, you don't know. This guy, he could be getting stabbed. You don't know. So, and obviously there's a soldier there at the door. It was all nothing was pre-planned. It was something just, and normally I'm a very kind of reserved person. I don't really do things like that. I don't really engage in an altercation unless, there's something really dramatic And you know me personally, I don't really, I'm not the type of person to say, let's have a fight.
Yeah, but you heard someone crying out in pain.
I heard something and it just overtook me. And any person in that position was on the same thing. So I moved the soldier out of the way. He was very light in his physique.
Moved him out of the way.
Just moved him out of the way.
Shoved him out of the way.
Yeah. And
as you do.
Stormed into the place. And I saw the Sayyid with a huge red mark on his forehead. He is either being punched or a stapler on his head. Something happened where he's got he's being physically assaulted. And at that time, after being reassured in a polite way by the police officers that everything is going to be okay, we felt betrayed. Felt betrayed that how could you hit him and you don't have no right to hit anybody? It doesn't matter what he's done or what he said. You cannot hit somebody. So as we did that, I said, how dare you hit this guy? What has he done to you? We are here, your visitors and stuff. As this was happening, I turned around. There was 20 police officers in that place. There was like a huge Royal Rumble, like these WrestleMania. So, and they were arresting us and they were trying to, reprimand us and cuff us. And at that time,
unattended to a Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So it was like 8 of us and the rest of the guys, they had, they were outside. But in that time, they closed the door and they kept 8 people inside the room. And we were just, we were outnumbered, but obviously we weren't fighting. We didn't engage. We didn't hit people.
You're just defending yourself.
We're not even that. We're just basically saying, what are you doing and what right do you have? These guys, they saw it as a threat and they basically became very physical. They start hitting young children. This guy was almost 15 years old. He's been hit. His kids, they were getting beaten up. Honestly, it's shocking. These guys are big police officers. They're hitting kids. And at the end, when we were all shouting and screaming and seeing what's going on, what's happening, it doesn't make sense. It really is still shocking. And this guy, he came and he grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. I was wearing white dishdasha. He grabbed my scruff of the neck, and I said, "What are you doing?" And then he picked up his walkie-talkie, the chunky one, and it smashed it on my head. And when he did that, I felt like. Basically, it's like that was a tranquilizer. Just sit down, relax. Because it's gonna get physical. The more you raise your voice, it's gonna get out of control. And this police officer came in, who had a distinctive long scruffy black beard, and he's wearing army attire, but he also had short length trousers, which kind of indicates that he's of Wahhabi, he follows the Wahhabi school of thought, for example. Yeah. Because they wear short length trousers, but he had long beard, very scruffy, and he was slightly overweight. And he came to each one of us, and each one of us is, it's kind of like being pinned down by someone. He came to one of us, he just slapped us, full slap. The Ba'thi style, the one that your ears would ring.
Yeah,
and he says into kuffar jaim bilad al kufar. So you're British, because we said we're British, and that is a kind of a thing to say. To get security assurances in Britain,
save yourself.
It didn't work. That increased the veracity of the slap. So we were getting slapped one slap each, but a nice, a solid, pure connect slap. Each one of us, eight of us, كل واحد, everyone got a nice slap, and then he came to me. I was the last one. He slapped me, and it was his hand connected behind my ears, and his palm was right on my lower,
full on.
I got up, started shouting at him, like the loudest voice I can muster. I was like, "How dare you?" Bil Arabi, I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And then nothing happened. So basically, we were like, "This guy's shirt is ripped. This guy's bleeding from his head. This guy's glasses broken. He's got cut in his eyes." And by that time, we were in. This is getting serious because, this is very serious. And you've entered the police station. We went. Police officers came. Senior guys, and said, "What's going on?" They took us to a bigger station, and they said, "You guys, you encroached into a police station, and that's an offence, and that's 2 years in prison. You went inside a police station." We said, "Yeah, you guys beat up our senior religious cleric." So he goes, "No, at the button of a police officer, دقمة الشرطي إذا تنشلع."
You're in trouble. If one button is taken off his shirt.
If a button of his shirt is ripped
of an officer,
you have big problems. So We said sorry.
They literally scared you.
Yeah, they tried to scare us, but we raised a case. So we wrote down everything that happened, and this was like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. when we started the altercation. By Fajr, they took me back to the hotel to get all the passports of everybody. So I had to go back by myself in the car. Police escort. To come back to the hotel.
The rest of the group are in the hotel now.
No, there's a hotel still in the police station.
Everyone.
The 8.
No, I'm saying go about the rest of the
We
group.
don't know what's going on with them.
You don't know what's
They've figure out their own way. They've gone home. We don't know what's going on.
كل واحد يدور
And the 8 people that were arrested, they kept us on the station. They said, Amir, you go with the police guy, not by yourself, and get your passports. So I went to the reception. I said, give me my passports. He said, what names? This. With the police officer, with me.
The 8 passports.
8 passports. I'm not free to do what I want. And this is Fajr time. People are praying. The roads are closed. Yeah, and it's not like a Taqwa hotel. We're on that road, down the alley. We got the passports, came back. And that time, because of the police, to the hospital.
You've not made any phone calls, or you can't make anything?
As soon as we came out of the police station, go to the hospital, we started calling that time, my dad was a member of parliament in Iraq. And generally he's involved in politics. So everybody whoever we knew, British embassy, American embassy, Iraqi embassy, every person we knew, we called.
In your network.
We just called and said, we're in prison. We're gonna
get executed.
They're gonna execute us. We're gonna die. Help us, brother.
And that's when it was brought up in the Iraqi parliament.
There was a press release in the Iraqi parliament. And so when we went in that space of 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, where we got a phone, basically, they took us to the hospital. They checked us up. The guy who hit us, he came bandaged up.
He said, I've got a broken hand.
He's got a broken hand. I'm finished. And he scratched his hands here. It's all bleeding. He goes, you guys assaulted the officer. So guy, you hit us. He's like, nah, it's your fault. You did it. So by the time we came back to the police station, we saw a huge GMC outside the police station. Massive. White. Beautiful. Clean. So walked in, there's a massive guy standing there wearing a white robe, very clean. He had gold cufflinks and like his silver glasses, but he looked higher up. It's not the usual guys we're seeing in the area. And he says, come into the office. So he took us into the office, AC. He brought us drinks and water. He sat us down. He goes, on behalf of the Prince of Jeddah, Mecca and Medina, Filan, Filtan, and whatever his name is, this guy, would like to apologize for you, for your grievances and for your problems, and you're free to go. You are our friends, and we love you.
You're not kuffar anymore.
Yeah, you guys are good guys. We love you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Kiss. And then we said we want to go home now. He's like, go home. If you're free to go, but this is your country. These are idiots who did this to you.
Mistake happened.
So we're like, you know what? Just go home. Let's go to sleep. So. Yeah,
that's your watch. Doesn't understand. Yeah, I don't blame the watch for not understanding that.
Yeah, this guy talks to me for some reason. Anyway, we went home really, and the American embassy pulled Said Jawad out immediately. They said we can't risk it. Yeah. So we were left with no cleric, and then we just spent the last 4 days alone. But the girls were worried because they thought something's going to happen to them.
Yeah, that's not...
The guys were worried.
You just want to come back home now.
We want to come back home, but we can't. People paid for the tickets. You know, they paid for an Umrah trip. And so I said the next day, I said, whoever wants to go Umrah, let's go. So I took a group of 6-7 people, and we went to Masjid Shajara and, the miqat outside. Not Masjid Shajara, the miqat is outside Mecca. We did the Haram, came back, did our A'mal, came back, and we saw the guy that, but al-muhim, we have nothing to, we got nothing to hide, nothing to worry about. But there was a sense of fear. There was anxiety, fear. Sure. That time, someone contacted the BBC and said, Shia Muslims, they've been targeted, and the BBC run the story, and they started to pick up, gain momentum. Yeah, this was, the people that we spoke to, look, let's escalate it. I said, guys, we're still in this country, man. If something
let's go back home, yeah.
Let's go back home. He goes, no, we have to do it now. Otherwise, I said, we're still here. What if something happens to us? He's like, don't worry, be safe. So we did nothing, but people there, they started relaying the story, they started narrating the concept, the news article, and then it started to pick up traction. We don't know what's going on. We're just getting messages, people are messaging us, people calling us from Iraq. This guy says, don't worry, we're with you. But whoever had a grievance in Saudi Arabia, we became their role model. We become, go fight. I said, we just want to go home. There's a funny story in the airport. So we called the embassy. We called the British embassy. We want to leave tomorrow. is our names on the banned list because we've raised the case, we're not allowed to leave the country.
So yeah, you're already.
So we have launched a case against Flan X. You can't leave the country if you have a case against somebody. Not allowed to leave. So we thought we're gonna get arrested in the airport, and you know traditionally you can't get a visa for a woman. She has to have a mahram. So what people do is that you have a visa and you bring 3 of. So this is my wife. This is my sister.
They're your mahram.
I didn't even know who they are. I just see different people. Just
So,
stick them together. I don't know if you say that, but anyway, too late.
Mahrams, yeah, you have
Mahrams. I got 4 sisters and 3 wives. Just put them in 6 of them. So if I had been kept in, these guys can't leave. These girls.
So you'd be in big trouble now.
So I have 7. Yeah, we're 8 of us. The whole group will stay behind, basically. So we called the embassy. Said, no, your name is not on the list. We called. Everything's fine. We still have anxiety. يعني خوف.
You just want to get on.
You gotta go home because this is a country. It's not like you're not having a fight with some guy in the streets. This is a country, and these guys can. They're ruthless. They're ruthless, yani. They're ruthless. They can do anything to you. You don't know. And yeah, long story short, we're on the airport. So one of the guys that we know, and you know him very well, I don't want to mention his name, he gave his passport to his wife. So they passed security checks, his passport is his wife. Then she went to check in, passport is his wife's, fine. But then she went to the security, the final security check, where you go into duty free. He's still walking around talking to different people. His wife has got his passport, he went through. She's gone almost to the gate.
He doesn't have his passport.
He's walking around just having fun, whatever he's doing. He's realised his wife
He's taking
has
the
his
passport.
passport, he's going to fly off without him. So he jumped over the rails, running like a madman
to get his passport.
to get his passport back. And everyone's like thinking, all the police goes, what are you doing? And we had 30 police was running after him.
Extra drama.
They slide tackled him. And I was like, oh, so I'm looking around. This guy's been jumped by 30 people. I was like, they've caught us.
They're coming for us.
Because this guy wasn't arrested, but they probably just found him on the camera. I was like, "Khalas, we gotta go now." So I just did this, you know.
So I'm ready.
I'm ready. Take me down. It's like my passport is like. I said, "Bro, please, Habibi." They were already stressed out. Just take it easy.
Not the right time
Yeah,
to
he's
jump
like,
over the barrier.
he's like, just focus with us. Yeah, alhamdulillah, we got back. People with flowers. I had a press conference. It was all.
Yeah, I remember.
It was all out of control. Alhamdulillah.
So this is I'm guessing, you know, you're now doing things for the shabab. You're getting the youth together, and that leads, you know, all these gatherings, Umrah, and Sayyid Ammar's now started to do some lectures, and then that's when Haraka starts, because Haraka does have a big impact on the next your next venture, which is Ahlulbayt TV. How did Haraka start up, and what was that about?
So we had a little group gathering called Rasul Youth in Rasul Adam. Rasul Youth, and that was like a youth program thing that we had organized. With us was Dr. Amir Khan, who is now in the hospital in Iraq,
Karbala, yeah.
Ammar realized that we are active. I didn't know him before. I've heard of him. He used to give lectures in Khouy sometimes in the gym, but not much engage with him. So he called me. He's like, I want to see you guys. So it was me and there's another guy, Yasser Madani. We went to Kulba restaurant in Najwa Road.
Okay.
Turned out to be haram after. I don't know how it's not. There was a period where everyone stopped eating. You know, they said don't eat that place again.
Don't eat this one. Suspicious.
For Kulba, we had some food. It's like, I've got this new project I'm starting. You know, Harak al-Haydariya, we've got this, Shabab, Mustafil, they've got this Shabab, Mehdi, you guys, Rasul Youth, let's come together, create something big. Let's go all out.
Weekly program.
You know, conferences. I said, Bismillah, I'm ready. I'm always ready for these things.
Yeah.
Let's go. And so I started bringing this group of Shabab used to come from Rasul A'zam, Dar Islam boys used to come, Khouy guys, everyone is pulling in power to get everybody in. And it was different places. It was different. You know, started with Noor Zada's house, then he was in Dar Islam for a while, then he was in Abrar Center.
Abrar for a long time, yeah.
Different kind of, you know. So I was mostly involved in the Abrar period, you know, that beginning part. And that's when Sayyid Mehdi came to London and brought a camera. He left me a PD 170, just take this camera. I said, why? He goes, just keep it. We still got it.
They're still using it.
I think they sold it for 50 quid on eBay. Said Bakr sold it 50 quid or something.
MashaAllah.
For, you know, it's become an antique. Anyway, I was recording the programs. I started doing all the AV stuff. You know, had a bit of technical know-how. But generally speaking, it was an opportunity for young people to come together on Friday night, listen to a solid lecture, engage, go home, and it was like a nice
Have
day
some
out.
nice chicken chips.
Have some food. Me and Mustafa used to buy chicken burgers and come back. Half of them used to be finished by the time they arrive.
Filthy.
You know, we used to do, you know, all that funky stuff. Alhamdulillah, it was great. It was a lovely experience.
Getting the kids together.
You know, the shabab, and everybody now you meet is like, oh, I remember those days. We used to come every Friday. We used to link up. People used to go out, you know, cafes after. They used to meet up. It became a nice social experience, and it was
Islamic atmosphere.
yeah, of course. And
That's the main thing.
Tafsir Surat Yusuf, for example, different tafasir, different lectures, and it became like a place where you can go, you learn, and you meet and greet different people, and that's what, you know, we had like the peak. It was once when we had this Eid al-Ghadir, and we got this huge figure of a hand like this, and we moved the pulpit right in the back of the hall, and we tried to, you know, get more and more people. Alhamdulillah, it just kept growing. It was a successful Friday night program that went very well, and you know, and from that kind of relationships were formed, friendships were formed for years to come.
And then everyone sort of went their own way to serve in their own capacity. And if I'm not mistaken, you were filming for Ahlulbayt, the Arabic channel, where it had 2 or 3 hours a day broadcasting English.
When Said Mehdi left the camera, he's like, why do you help us do some recording? So I was recording some content here and there in my spare time. But at the same time, I sat with Said Ammar. I said to him, we've got this new idea that I want to do. I'm doing this documentary called Karbala When Skies Were Blood. And in that group, there was very good friends of mine. Amir Hussein, Hasib Rizvi, Pallu, Safety,
first documentary.
Muhsin Asgar, you know, all these guys. So we put together, we had this really basic camera. We filmed almost 10 interviews using a very basic camera, no microphone. I was using industrial lights, the ones you put inside garages. And, you know, we had a script starting from Death of the Prophet all the way to Karbala. What happened? You know, we interviewed everybody, cut it up into pieces in someone's bedroom in East London, Hasib's house. It was awful, the driving.
Why you got it together?
We got it together and we sold
Karbala When Skies
Were Blood. So the production was called Red Tears Productions.
Yeah.
Karbala When Skies Were Blood. We tried to think of a very friendly name and we ended up with that.
You sold how many copies?
10,000 copies we sold.
That was amazing. And that was sort of the first English production.
That was, the kind of non-government, non-Iranian stuff. Iran has some documentaries, but this is a proper, you know, English content for the community and for anyone who wants to know about Amir Hussein. And that was like 1 hour doc, very unprofessional, even so much so that Bassem at that time had produced his first visual latmiya. Where they had
video clip.
Yes, yeah, you know that track. He filmed in a desert. He built tents and there was bodies lying on the floor. We took that footage from him.
And you used it in your clip.
I went to him. Here's $1,000.
Copyright case.
Any cost that you get $1,000. Paid him $1,000.
Just so
that we clear ourselves, because if we're going to make money out of this,
it's not fair that you've
taken
taken something from
profit for us, but it's a commercial. He needs to be rewarded. Ironically enough, the reason I mentioned that day is that when I walked out the house, he was in Sussex Gardens in Edgware Road. I walked out and the foyer was it was red carpet. I remember that vividly. Someone called me. He said to me, the Arabic channel has gone down a few times. Said Hillbay TV. It keeps going down. Like, yeah, it goes. What are you guys gonna do? Like, I think we should go on Sky. Sky is a very important place. And he goes to me, if you go on Sky, I'll fund the whole thing. So I was like,
okay.
I said, okay. And then he was telling me how Sky, because I wasn't aware of Sky as much as he said. Everyone in this country has Sky. If you want to reach the UK audience,
Sky is the way.
Sky is the place to engage in. And I spoke to him. I said, we need to go on Sky. Forget this Hotbird,
the satellites,
these
Nile Sat,
all these satellites that nobody watches except old Iraqi men. Nobody watches this. The Premier League, the football is on the Sky platform. Let's get on. All the Indo-Pak communities will watch it. And it's like, but it's dedicated channel English. We can't. It's too much. So we literally had a few months of, rallying each other up. And then February 2009, we acquired Hillbay Television Network as a company. We bought an EPG, an Ofcom, we got an Ofcom license, which allows you to broadcast. We bought a channel called from Baby TV. We converted to Hillbay TV, and August.
The kids' TV channel.
It's called Baby TV. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you, and I hope nobody looks it up because I don't know what it could be. Yani.
This could go both ways.
Then the worst thing happened to me in my life. Some guy in Croydon says, "Come and use our office," and so.
The worst thing that happened to everyone that worked there.
Yeah, bless him. He was a great man who gave us the opportunity to have an office there.
That's the Dutchess.
But obviously, it was far for us.
But we still made it.
We obviously went for 3 years every day.
Driving for an hour and a half.
9 hour shift.
That was the worst. Who came up with that 9 hour shift?
We said
Why 9 hour shift?
We said
who does 9 hours?
We said let's do 9 hours instead of 8 because it's a good opportunity. We have to build up, and a
young youthful team started.
And that time I just got married, and I landed back in the UK in August 15, 2 days before, straight from the
August 2009 is when the channel opened.
Yeah, August 17 it started. I got married July 13th.
That was Shahr Ramadan or
no, before Ramadan. 2 weeks before Ramadan.
Okay.
Yeah, Ramadan was like 21st. So we started just before Ramadan. I was 24 years old.
Mostly live shows.
Not even
like
that.
The new content, sorry.
No.
New content was live.
We never had a studio. We never had a playout system. We had no fiber optic. We had nothing. All we had was 2 computers and a deck. It's a VTR, which you put a tape in. And what you do is the way you give them content, not through flash disk.
Then how?
You have to put the content onto a timeline and you send the content to something. So what it is, you have a deck recorder, you put the tape in, you press record, you press play here. And you have to watch it for 3 hours, play here and record here. Then like I said, you have 3 hours of content. Then you drive to Park Royal for 1 hour and a half.
And give it to you.
You give him a tape. He ingests it in, he puts it in 2 days later. So I had to do that for about 2 months.
Wow.
So you can imagine how difficult
you guys have it easy.
How difficult it is to
produce content.
So forget the content where it's coming from
or to show content.
To show content. It was so time consuming. So you come in and the thing is not working.
And then someone comes to you after a few weeks, that show on Ahlulbayt TV, he has a go at you. And you've just, he doesn't know the trouble you go through to produce it.
For that Ramadan, we hired a studio in Park Royal, somewhere around here, in ABS Studios. There's a guy called Sas Jahani, he's originally Iranian. He gave us a studio, and they did a play out. So we used the place, and there's cameras there, and Rebecca came, and we had like 3-4 shows a week.
She was sort of the first official presenter of Ahlulbayt TV.
Yeah, she was the first official. She was presenting.
God bless her. She's still presenting.
She not as much to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but she.
That's true. Not as much.
Yeah, she was hosting a show on Press TV before, and I was a guest on that show for the Karbala and Skies of Blood. So she said to me, she was presenting. I was like, she's a really good presenter. She's very.
Let's hijack her on our channel.
That's what I did. I basically called her up. I said, look, we have a channel. And we want you to come on board. She goes, okay. I was like, oh,
that was easy.
Yeah. And, I thought she was going to, ask for, astronomical amounts. But she was very, very, very down to earth and very simple.
Till today.
And she said, I want to help out. I'd love to serve the Ahlulbayt. I would love to be in a position where I'm,
one of the great servants of our community, I think that doesn't get a mention a lot, is Sister Rebecca.
Yeah. Unfortunately, her husband passed away recently.
Bless
and
his
it's kind
soul.
of very sad news for her. That was really the beginning, and it was a long, difficult 10 years of struggle, pain. I can use every single depressing word, anguish, and probably, yeah.
And then a few years later, after Croydon, another dedicated brother in the community gave us a building in northwest London.
So one day, some guy, brother Arif Chandu said, "Listen, you can use the studio. Make the office, my office downstairs as a studio." We said, "Look,
he just gave us one room."
Yeah, he said no. He said keep the studio, keep Croydon active, and then we'll have a studio over there as a second studio. So we linked it up. We did a triangle, Arkiva, Ahlulbayt TV 1, Ahlulbayt TV 2, and so we could connect them both
at the same
time. So we can have live shows from there, and we have our And then
Subhanallah, Ramadan as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think Ramadan as well.
I can't remember.
Yahya Seymour
But
and
what-
Sister Rebecca.
What I can remember vividly though is that we came one day to work, and the office that we were working in, they had huge financial problems. They fired everybody, and the building was being put off for sale
In Croydon.
in Croydon. So we thought to ourselves, something is happening here. That is, this is our sign. So we just got a van. We put everything in the van. We just drove off.
Get out.
So that's exactly what we did.
Ma'a salama.
So I was driving a van that belonged to Maisie,
So you
Junaid's
can
van.
hear-
Yeah. And then we got in the car, filled up with all the channels, wires, and
The
TriCaster,
tables,
Playbox,
everything.
everything. We just literally emptied everything into a van. And I'm driving, and my wife's sitting next to me, and I get to the A406. I get to Hanger Lane. I'm going to the A406 towards Neasden.
Amazing.
And her door wasn't shut properly because it's broken. So as soon as I've taken a left, the door opens. She's half her legs are sticking out of the door.
La ilaha
Hey,
illallah.
yani, it's like a.
This is what we went through. La ilaha illallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, we
And
started.
that was the move.
Started at Neasden, and and then it's kind of.
I think he regretted. Bless Hajj Arif. He gave us the room downstairs, and then we took over slowly.
He said to me, "I'm moving out completely."
We
But
made
he's
him.
supposed to move. He's supposed to move out in January, and we moved ourselves in December.
Yeah.
Then he moved out in May or June.
Yeah.
For 6 months, we
were
had
sharing.
basically moved in too early. So it's like a chain buy, but he hasn't got his place, and we just jumped in.
We were literally in a space the size of what we're in now. Me, you, say Shahristani, Nouri,
Zubaydi.
Muhammad Zubaydi, Muhammad Radi. There's like 7, 8 of us, like cramped up. So and if you turn around like this, if your chair moves, you hit someone else. It was literally like that.
Yeah, so you can't work. It's a disaster.
We did work though.
Yeah, but that year wasn't as productive. If you look at it was a dip because of the move.
Because of the move.
We
had
and the
more
space.
live shows, if I'm not mistaken, that year. We did a lot of live shows.
Yeah,
that
but
year.
the production. If you look at the production, big productions,
Yeah,
there
there
wasn't a
wasn't
big
any.
one,
Yeah.
and there was a big transition. At that time, Amir left, Hasib left. All that. Fatma Rizvi left. All three. That's a big 3.
Yeah. Core
Graphics,
of the
editing,
team.
and operation. 3 guys left.
Cool, yeah.
That's a core team. And then suddenly we looked around. We're starting from scratch. Yani Kumail left, Gareth left. There was a huge, and we shrunk the team down. We sat in a small room. From having a huge office, 10 times the size of that, to having a small space, we're starting again basically. We didn't have a proper rack. There was no MCR room. There's no gallery. Everything was wrong.
We started from fresh.
Literally, it was a relaunch. Literally.
And that took the channel to the next level. As soon as we had the office space upstairs, the level of production was now different. We were now thinking about more documentaries. We're now thinking of getting better equipment, and now it's more quality than quantity, because we had this is again me seeing it at the time, we had enough content to have a channel running for 24 hours, but the 2-3 hours of new content we said we'll make sure that it's of better quality.
We reached a stage whereby we were just living within ourselves, so we had to improve quality in this. We had something called the Year of Quality. There's this saying.
Muhammad Muntasar.
Yeah, this guy called Muhammad Muntasar came to London. He started working with us. He had a good academic background in documentary filmmaking, and he said, "We're going to introduce a Year of Quality." So he was a polite way of saying that your content is rubbish. Start working. Be serious when you do things. We started the story of Hussein and the story of Zainab and all these,
Wow, yeah.
these short docs, short series, 20 minutes each, and then things started developing, and then there was other channels coming on the scene like Safir TV, and automatically that gave us the impetus to do better, not because we didn't want them to succeed, but we felt that it's a responsibility on us to give the best possible reflection of the Ahlulbayt. And we wanted to be in a position whereby let's focus on something. Let these guys, it's good if you have a few channels, let each one focus on something specifically that they're good at. So we said, let's focus on a few things. We said documentary is something we can do, and children's animations. when Safir TV emerged, and we were happy because we said, it would be good that we focus and specialize on one aspect of production. And we chose documentaries, and the other aspect that we chose was children's programming. That was because of default. We had the right people in the team who enjoyed those two genres. If we had other people that enjoy different genres, we would have, the style that we adopted was we find whoever's involved and we see what he's good at. And based on that, and we thought, documentaries is a powerful 60-minute program that can be very impactful. We can compete with the level of the top documentaries. If we had,
we did, yeah.
As in, if we have a good story, it doesn't need something. So there's some stuff that are beyond, like big studios and large cameras, and you're not going to get that. You're not be able to produce that, like game shows and of a high level. We did try once with Brain Flash, and that was quite good actually.
It was.
Yeah, that was quite very time consuming and expensive. But we specialized two things that we knew we could grow in, and alhamdulillah, that was the beginning of that journey.
With regards to documentaries, we had the addition of now a good cameraman, director of photography, Ali Basri, and then you started producing documentaries. The first one that comes to my mind that I think took the quality. Again, I'm talking from someone that not only viewed this documentary, but that someone that's also inside the channel, so can see what's going on. Was probably Breathe. Or was there anything before, other than obviously the story of Hussein? But I think something that was actually hours and hours of filming, if I'm not mistaken, was Breathe.
Yeah, you can argue Breathe was a new level of production. Breathe is about a story of a guy. I'm not sure if you interviewed him.
Yeah, I did, of course. Yeah, he came out. So Hasan came on our podcast. Yeah.
Hasan Sage is a guy who's lost his children, unfortunately, to illness. So I was in the ABTV gala dinner. And someone said to me, this guy,
has a good story.
Azim's cousin, he lost his children. So like, khatiyya. So after the gala dinner, we finished, we raised money. He was standing behind me, and I stood like next to him. And I said to him, brother, whatever Allah has taken away from you, inshallah, he will replace. Just out of, I said to me, brother, my wife is 8 months pregnant. Inshallah, in February, she's going to give birth.
Subhanallah.
So I was like, subhanallah, I was like so happy, I was like, then it's in my mind, Doc. That's all I just heard. Yes, Doc. He's run 5 marathons. He's done all the stuff, and he's like and we have Ali, Ali Basri, who.
That's the first thing we do whenever we hear a good story. We think documentary.
Doc, yeah. So how could you? It's just when you speak to people, it's just
Or when you hear someone's got a good voice.
Good voice, yeah.
Voiceover. What's the line you used to make them repeat? There used to be a line you used to call and you say, repeat that same line. Please remember. There was a line, something about Adim or something.
Slipped my mind. It's the tip of my tongue. I'll come back.
He used to make them. He used to bring
son of
people.
Adam.
Yes. Say, son of Adam. And if it's a good voice or not, we'll use it for a voice.
Every person we speak to says, just repeat that line. Son of Adam. Alhamdulillah. So I went out with him, with Ali, and we filmed that documentary. I was involved in that documentary from the producing perspective, and Ali did a lot of the work. He put a lot of hours in. But we had to drive to East London, 7-8 times, film, edit, and we just try to capture his story. Alhamdulillah. Ali was once busy, so I had to film the marathon. So we went to his house like 5 a.m, and with this cameraman that I had hired, Spanish guy, his name is Juan, and then we took a train to wherever that marathon starts from. I think it's Hyde Park, yeah. And we sat there, and it's very surreal. We had to basically be with him at the beginning and make sure we get to the end.
Make sure you're
faster than him. Obviously, he's running, but we take shortcuts and stuff. It was amazing, that journey. And for me, the reason I did that documentary was we had already done a lot of good documentaries. We had produced a lot of good documentaries at that time, but I wanted to say, let's do something slightly different. Let's up the level a bit. This is a story. This is a nice case study. Let's try to. And sometimes, I thought there's no point just telling people, go and do something. Why don't you do it yourself? And that's what I did. Let me go and do this myself. Let me try and execute this myself with Ali. And we did, we even did one thing that we've never done before. We did a viewing inside a community center.
Yeah.
So we hired a hall We invited the local MP, local teachers, local school members, friends, family, Shia, non-Shia, Muslim, non-Muslim. They came into the hall. There's like 50 of them, and Basri was late. You know, trying to get there. We were sweating, running with the projector, and they watched it. It was like a 90-minute feature documentary, and everyone's crying, and
It's a powerful documentary.
clapping, and they were like, you know, and then till now, Hassanin calls me. He's like, yeah, I met this guy. I told him, have you seen my documentary? This has become his thing now. Whoever he meets, he's like, have you seen my documentary?
Yeah.
And he makes them watch the documentary, and they really get moved because he saves himself the anguish.
Is it still on YouTube?
It's on Vimeo.
Okay.
It's on Vimeo. So I watched it yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yes, ironically, because I wanted to work with Hassanin again for a project I'm doing. And I said, the person that I have, I said, let me show you this person that I know. His name is Hasan Sage. And we ended up watching
The documentary.
clips of it, and I sent it, and I took a picture of it, and I said to Hassanin, there you go.
I'm still watching it.
I'm still watching. It was like love and mother, send me a heart and big and small and all that stuff.
You mentioned Ali, and you had a particular way in managing people. You wasn't someone that would fire people. I can't remember anyone being. I can't remember. Maybe there, but you managed people differently. How do you think? And we had different characters. We had some really interesting characters, to say the least. From someone loud and like me, and I'll just use the word loud, to someone that's more quiet and like, say, Sharistani, maybe behind his desk, Nouri. You had different people, interesting characters. At one point, I remember there was close to maybe 20 staff members. Maybe that was the maximum we had. How did you manage your staff?
So we probably I remember firing 2 people.
Okay.
The one was a girl, and she refused to do any shows for some reason. She basically wanted to leave, and we didn't fire her. We said, listen, you didn't turn up for the show, you didn't produce, so she left. The second guy was a very interesting story. We presented a show, and I don't know if you say this, but anyway, I'll say it. You guys choose to put it or not.
Yeah.
So he presented the show, and then we removed him from the show. He wasn't a good presenter because he swore on set. He's like, F. And then the guest looked at him, was like, what's going on? So we were like, I was embarrassed. Like, what the hell? This guy is crazy. What's he doing? And so I realized there's another guy in the office who's good presenting, and we swapped them around. And this guy got very upset.
And how you swapped?
He said to me, I want to be like Mehdi Hassan, and you've taken that away from me. I said, brother, you're not good at presenting. You keep stumbling and stuttering and making mistakes, and you swore on set. You just don't know what you're doing.
On Islamic, it's used that language as well.
Yeah, it's not just
Islamic
that.
channel.
It's unprofessional, it's rude, and it's disgusting. So he didn't take that too well, and he became very aggressive. And so what we did, we checked up his references, which is, you're supposed to do that before you
employ somebody.
And we checked up his references. His previous boss told us that this guy put super glue in my contact lens solution.
Allah.
He tried to stick the lens inside my eyes. So we just that was enough for us to say to him, brother. So we called him up in the office, and I called a big guy with me because I called Amir Hussein with me to come to, because I was worried this guy's gonna snap.
If he tried super gluing someone's eyes.
He was already very aggressive before. He was like being antagonistic towards people. He's being rude, abrasive. And I said, look, bring this guy to the office. Let's chat to him. So I said to him, brother, what's the story about
super glue?
And he flipped. He started shouting, started screaming, started going mental. And he goes, you're Muawiyah and you're Yazid. And he walked out.
So you didn't really fire him. He walked out.
Yeah.
Now we'll just continue from how you.
Yeah, there was a lot of different characters that worked on Hillbay TV. And that was probably the most hardest thing for me was to manage people. It's the most difficult thing for me, and that probably drove me mad, drove me absolutely nutty, because for me, it wasn't a job. It wasn't a job where you come in, clock in at 9, leave at 5, or clock in at 10, leave at 6. It was like, I'm already working before getting to work, and when I get home, I'm still working. I didn't stop working for a second. People, when they see me, and they wouldn't probably see you and other people, says, how's the channel? They don't ask you how
How
are
are
you.
you? Nope.
Yeah, how was the channel? Because they knew
No one
we
asked.
lived, breathed, ate.
We did.
Yeah, it was not something that you hid away. This was apparent. Everyone knew that you are working for Hillbay TV and you're committed. This is your life, your food, your drink, your sleep. That's it.
And I just like to add, and I'll speak for myself, and I'll speak for you actually as well. And we enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. Everyone enjoyed it. They loved it. It was passion. It was love.
Yeah.
But for me, I was a bit crazy. I was overdoing it. Yeah, I was overdoing it. I was working all the time. I didn't want to have a social life. I didn't want to go out.
Our social life was the channel.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything else besides doing the channel's work. And then when I feel like someone, this guy left a bit early, this guy came a bit late, this guy's chilling, his lunch is like become an hour, 10 minutes, I start getting a bit nervous. And that's not good.
Lunch was enjoyable.
Yeah, that wasn't good. It's like, why are they not working hard? Why they don't feel the same passion that I do? Why? You know, obviously I'm not working all the time. Maybe I'm chilling sometimes. But for me, I became paranoid. I started it started affecting me because I knew there was so much work and we had so little resources and I wanted to max it out as much as possible. But you can't keep revving the car.
Maxed it out. You were maxing it out.
You can't rev the car all the way to Manchester. This is what we're trying to do. We try to rev a Micra all the way to Manchester, and that car is going to blow up.
It's going to explode before.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's going to explode all the way, halfway through. You just cannot. It's not designed to do that. So we kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I remember people were sleeping. I used to call him, doesn't pick up. Call him once, twice, 3 times. Like, try and get through to him. He's got a deadline today. I used to call his dad. Sayyidina Flan, where's this guy? طلع الخليجي.
Where is he?
He's just sleeping. He had a late night. He was doing. So I call. He picks up the phone. He's like, hello. But there's a lot of stories like that. Yani, alhamdulillah. But in the day, it was because everybody worked so hard because they shared that vision. They shared that passion. And there were some people, they were slightly relaxed than others. And I was always believed that we have to find the positives in everybody. Everybody's got a positive. You may have 100 negatives, including myself. I had 100 negatives. But if you don't look for the positives, you're never going to be able to work with anybody. If it can be bad, everyone can be great. And if you look at the goodness that he has, if you look at the positives he has, and you empower him, and you give him energy, you give him strength, and you encourage him, and suddenly he's putting a shift in. He's working hard. He's running through brick walls. He's going crazy. He's passionate about the project. Otherwise,
I think that's a very important point you mentioned.
You are a hidden gem.
Yeah, telling people your hidden gems worked.
Did I do that?
Yeah, there was a lot of hidden gems.
No reason.
But كنزا مخفية. But I think what we did is find everyone's strength. You mentioned, because we did children's programming because we had people that were not only interested, but they were good at that. Or we did documentaries because people were, like, for example, I say, why hopefully I succeeded in certain documentaries in Iraq is just because maybe I had a good network in Iraq, specifically Najaf. I could get my way around, being my hometown, knowing a few clerics here and there. So we everyone used their strength in whatever capacity they have to, whether it was, Sayyid Baqir in downstairs, or doing the play out, as well as sorting out a lot of the stuff that he did, because no one had one role, everyone did. Or for example, Nouri producing and filming and editing, or I don't know, everyone, or people that sometimes worked in marketing would also present, like Hasan Sage.
So interesting story I'll give you now. My wife, she used to do, before the channel started, she used to do some TV stuff on YouTube and Karbala. She used to enjoy. And then when I got married, automatically Iraqi men, they don't like their wives having public profiles. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Let's just
delete your
profile.
Hey.
Delete it. And I was like to myself, okay, she enjoys it. She's not doing it because she's bored. She enjoys it.
Yeah,
some people don't do it regardless. You don't have to force them. Some woman, if you ask Iraqi woman, would you do a video? He goes, no. I don't like coming.
It's very difficult getting women on, from our community on camera.
On camera. I'm sure you have the same problem here. So now things have changed, but previously, it's very difficult. Traditional Iraqi ladies who are now probably 35 plus, don't go on TV. That's very hard to find.
Sahih.
You're never gonna. It's very rare. And I was in a position where, on one hand, you know, I said I always believed empowering people. Let's see what he's good at, and let's give him that role so that he or she can grow and achieve that potential. There's no point putting, you know, someone who's good at editing to become a presenter. They can't do it.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. You may want to do that because you're paying them, but you're not going to get the most out of them. So I was in a dichotomy. I was like, what do I do? Do I become a hypocrite? So I decided deep down, I said, you know, I'm going to empower Zahra. We made a Tuesday and Thursday show on Hillbay TV. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, we had a Tuesday and Thursday. We had a live women's program in Hillbay TV in Croydon. And I said, you guys, you're editing during the day. I want you to get a guest every Tuesday and Thursday.
Thursdays, yeah.
So you had like I don't know what time it was, 2 p.m. or something. It was an afternoon show or something like that.
Yeah.
It was an afternoon show. So during their work hours, they would just...
And we done seasons upon seasons.
Yeah, there's like thousands of shows, episodes. Every girl in this community, what's your name? You're coming tomorrow. It's Thursday. And mashallah, we had... So that, for me, was... Although, you know, people say, oh, you know, why do you let your wife go on TV? For me, I thought to myself, she enjoys this and she wants to serve. Obviously, she's not doing like fashion and whatever. That's then you have a different discussion here. But she's going to serve Islam. Her hijab is respectable, is good. Then why can't we encourage and empower our partners? It doesn't matter who it is. And that was, for me, kind of what I believed in. It's all about, you know, empowering somebody.
And then with others, we gave them every role. Till today, we don't know what their best role is. Till today, we're wondering, what is he the best at? Is he the best at filming, editing, doing graphics? God knows. God bless Sayyid Mushtaba. This was, you know, I'm sure it was daunting managing. And again, I'm sure Mushtaba would agree as well. And those that worked under you managed the channel, especially, in my opinion, 2014 onwards, in a very positive way, where I think you got the best, no doubt, out of the team that you had under you. And you know, we produced some, in my opinion, some world-renowned documentaries, like the ISIS one that me and you, and then you went back and done another one, and then we done I don't know, a third, and then you done Sinjar. You went to Sinjar on you, and you know, I remember that determination that you had, where you were literally on your own. I didn't have a passport, and I had to stay for my passport, and then you're like, I don't care, I'm going. And you one thing that I've realized, you did not care if you have to break down walls to get what you want. I remember, I'll share the story. We went to film a documentary in late 2014, early 2015. I can't believe we did this, because ISIS had gone into Iraq in 2014, July. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, January. So 6 months later, we're filming a documentary with Hashd al-Sha'bi. Literally 6 months, 2015, August.
It was December, I think, yeah.
December, January. 5 or 6 months.
June to December,
yeah. June to December. We're filming a documentary in areas where ISIS had literally just been maybe a few weeks ago, a few months ago, when we went Jurf al-Sakhar, and then afterwards I remember you went to... But either way, there was an incident where we were filming and you said, I want a prisoner. I want you guys to get me. You were speaking to the people we were with, part of the Hashid, and you said, I want a prisoner. And then everyone was saying no to you. Everyone was saying, impossible. We tried everything. We got one, and I just remember that you were really determined. You didn't give up. And that's one thing that I saw, is that you wouldn't give up, even when I thought, this is no way are we gonna find someone from ISIS do us an interview. I don't know how we pulled that off, but determination in what you did, even when everyone in front of you said no. What kept that drive going through those years where I'm gonna achieve, even when everything and everyone is saying no, you're not gonna get this?
So that ISIS prisoner story was very interesting. We were filming Jurf al-Sakhar, and we were, if you remember the story that happened there, the altercation we had. So we were filming, and these soldiers decided to have a break.
Yeah.
And we left at 6 a.m, and then my dad called me. He said to me, say hello to your aunties. I said, what are you talking about? He thinks that I'm going to get killed there because it's such a dangerous area.
Yeah.
So pass salam ala ammatik. You're gonna go, if you go to heaven or whatever. So I was like, it's not a good start today. You know? So we're filming with these guys and they're taking a long break.
Yeah.
They left us on the base. They don't do any work. And we had a fight with them.
Yeah.
He said, can you please go? He's like, no. I said, we need to film. We're not here to mess around. We're here to do
they
some
were
work.
taking a break.
Yeah, so we lost it a bit. But that prison...
And there was let me just mention, we were walking in this, like, I'm filming, and then one of the soldiers said to me and Amir, he said, don't go on that road, just stay close. So we're like, why? He's like, because that road is not meshat. He said, he used the word meshat, which means meshat comes from the word of meshat, when you comb your hair. That road is not combed. That's what he said. So like, what do you mean it's not combed? He said it means there could be mines, so we haven't checked if there's mines in there. And then imagine, as soon as he said that, we froze, because we thought if we continue walking,
we started going to side roads by ourselves.
Yeah, they're like,
where
are you going?
Because we're doing is like there's booby traps here. They booby trap every road. You walk on it, you blow up.
And we went to do that.
Jurf al-Sakhar had never fell before, since 2003. This is the first time it fell.
And we were there.
We were there filming, and we saw. You remember the skull on the floor? The brain splattered everywhere. That was horrific. We even detonated a TNT, a C4, a bomb, and we filmed it. If you see the footage,
Hussein.
I said, Hussein, because
exactly.
it blows up.
And we got the prisoner then.
Yeah, the prisoner. He committed 3 cases: one in Basra, one in Karbala, one in Najaf. He killed a lot of people. And when I don't know if you were in the room.
Yeah, I was. We were both sitting in the room.
But when we came to set up the camera, the guy said to me, "Can you ask questions?" I said, "No." I said, "No, ask questions."
Yeah, he asked both of us, and we said,
"We're not asking questions."
Yeah, I wasn't looking to speak to him.
They brought him in. He had his face covered, and he had chains, and his arms and legs.
And this guy's a killer. This guy's someone that's Daesh.
I remember his nails are very long.
Yeah.
It's very dirty feet.
Yeah.
He was barefooted. But I knew that Ofcom says that you cannot interview somebody under duress. So whosoever, duress means you're a prisoner and you could be potentially facing torture. I don't know what's going on in prison. All I know is this guy's a prisoner. And he's killing people. These soldiers are not going to be playing cards with him, are they? They're going to be, they may be physically abusing him.
Maybe.
We don't know. But if we interview this guy, we can face an Ofcom fine. You get it? Because Press TV's his license was revoked because they interviewed someone in Iran prison saying how it's lovely there. And when he came out, he said, no, it's not. And Ofcom said, you guys are interviewing someone under duress. So we interviewed him, but we were thinking about releasing it. But John Simpson, he was the first one that interviewed an ISIS prisoner or released an ISIS prisoner. We had recorded it, released it 2 weeks later. So yeah, that was, it's just, again, it's the drive of telling a story. And if you can access something and it's possible, and Iraq, everything's possible, as you know. There's no rules in Iraq. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, well, you can meet with the PM, which we did.
Yeah, you can meet the PM, you can meet the president, you can meet Ayatollah Sistani. There's nothing, and there's nothing, no one's ever said, no one, and as long as you can,
as long as it's possible, then it will get done.
Possible, someone's got his cameras lost in the airport, there's someone got arrested, there's visa issues. Iraq is a way where you can navigate your way through any problems. If you have contacts, people. If I said, I want a prisoner, find me, get me a prisoner.
You asked literally everyone you met.
We went to Najaf, and the guy said to me, we got one, come today.
Yeah, we
had to drive back to Karbala, and you were complaining. He's like, bro, this is long.
It was long.
He's going to be like blind, deaf, and madrash.
It was long. I complained a lot.
We got there, and then we filmed him, but I couldn't say a single word. And if you remember, because it was so scary. Yeah, and he's this guy, and he did it for 50,000 dinars, like 50 quid or something, killed like so many people.
Not the interview for 50. He killed people for 50 pounds. No, he didn't do the interview for any money. Yeah, we didn't pay him off.
Unfortunately, the soldier at the door said to me that people like that would just get released.
Yeah,
and that was like, wow, this is scary.
So
that means stay quiet.
We didn't want him to recognize our voice. What was the fun part? What did you enjoy while working at Hillbay TV?
It's the adrenaline, really. The crazy, that buzz that you get. It's like a buzz of hitting your deadline, buzz of meeting your, achieving something or fulfilling your potential. If I'm feeling like I haven't done this many work hours per day, I feel like I've let myself down. So there's a project in Ahlulbayt TV that allowed me to, whatever I give to it, it still needs more. And that always gave me the satisfaction, because I know that whatever I put in, it's always gonna, it's gonna show. And I had autonomy. I didn't have like, too much restrictions of, don't do this, don't do that, where you get disappointed.
Serve the Ahlulbayt.
It was just like, just work. You have a remit. You're editorially, as long as you don't do certain things, you're fine. We knew that, and we just moved on. But the buzz of achieving something that was seen by a global audience, it was so powerful as a tool. We still don't appreciate it till now. It was a very people were calling us from villages saying, I haven't left my house 6 months to be watching the channel every day. You changed my life. How many times people said, you've changed my life? And that just kept me motivated. And that also probably led me to leave as well.
Before we get there, do you think you could have done more? Looking back at your time.
100%.
Or you think?
100%. I went in.
But we're talking like long out. Literally, even if we'd go out to a cafe maybe once a week. Even when we did go out, we weren't discussing football, or we're still talking about what we're going to do at the channel. What we're going to. We're having meetings even in our social gatherings.
Haji, I was 24 years old.
No, I'm not talking about the first. I'm talking about
I know,
the last
but
year.
at the 24 years old, you're looking now at an average 24-year-old. I didn't work in the corporate world. I didn't have experience running a company, finances, all that stuff. It was just really
new. It was new.
It was new, and then this is a channel, and we had a lot of enemies. We had a lot of people stopping us, preventing us. We made a lot of mistakes. That if we had done better, we could have. At that time, having a Shia channel on TV was so amazing. And we've probably done a lot. We'd achieved so much, and we did something really that has never been done before. But I know, if I was, I'm now 38, and today, for example, imagine I'm 38 at that time, I'll do things differently. My contacts are vaster. I know more people now. I could have.
But with the tools that you had, could you? I'll rephrase the questions. Sorry, because obviously, that's an obvious answer. Right now, you look at it, you could have done. With the tools that you had,
we put effort. We put as much effort as we could. No, that whatever we knew, we put out there. But I feel sometimes I feel sometimes let down by. Sometimes I felt the community didn't do enough for us. We're running probably a very expansive, difficult project.
You've never spoken about this. This is the first time I hear you say something like this. Maybe because you don't do much interviews. Either way, do you feel you were let down by the community? You were always, again. I think the only what hindered your more achievements, what hindered your achievements was the fact that you took time out to focus on the finance of the channel a lot of your time, especially in the last few years, focused around the finance of the channel. And I felt that was, for us as a production team, because I'm in it was a loss, because we're losing your discussions and your thoughts and on programming because you're focusing on finance. So do you feel, and again, whether it was travel, meetings with the finance team, meetings with people here it took a lot of you.
But there's two things here. One,
did the community let you down?
There's two things here. First one is that the community, on one hand, when I mean community, I'm talking about people of influence. They let us down. They didn't come and join the channel. They said they want. For me, I felt like they didn't come and support the project. People did. People of influence. Yeah, people of influence. They could have supported the channel more. They could have done more for the channel. They could have empowered the channel more. But they took a step back.
Certain reservations they had.
Yeah, they took a step back. They said, let's see what happens. They used to come on the channel here and there, but they never gave us support. They never really trusted the channel. Maybe because they're not part of it, right? And we opened the door for everybody, but not everyone wanted to be part of that process. So that one aspect was a letdown. The community, generally speaking, they were always very supportive. People donated, they gave. We raised $10 million from people in £20 and £30 and £40. Go to someone's house, it gives you khums money, gives you like 10 grand, 20 grand. It was amazing.
That part of the community, the majority did not let you down.
But we did 14 gala dinners.
Wow.
In 9 countries, 9 cities around the world. 9 cities with gala dinners. We had to Toronto twice, Vancouver, California, New Jersey, Kenya, Mombasa, Dar 4 times. It was just New Jersey. We raised zero. We lost money because of tickets and everything. We raised nothing, and it was probably the most nerve-wracking day of my life. I was more nervous than my wedding day. Wedding doesn't even care. To be honest with you. People get like nervous.
I don't know why people get nervous on their wedding.
I'd like people like, oh, it's well, people. It's a cliche, but to be honest with you, I was outside. I gave my presentation and I went out. And I knew that day was bad because there was poor turnout. The speaker was coming to speak on our event, was arrested in Dubai airport. He was detained. His visa was revoked. It was a bad day.
It was one of those.
Days.
We had a lot of them as well.
So they started auctioning a few things. There's nothing. So far. I walked out. I literally wanted the ground to swallow me because I was like, you put yourself out there. This is your work. This is your life. You're exposing that to people. And I just love people laughing at you. They don't take you seriously. Like, oh yeah, whatever, They don't even bother to give you $100. It was the worst day probably in my channel, in the channel's life, in my life at the channel. It was miserable. But
and there was some days where you were also,
alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a day we always say that if people give, they support.
Yeah, because they kept the channel alive.
It's for them.
Yeah,
They don't want to give, they loss. It's their loss, it's not our loss. He doesn't want to be part of this project, it's his loss, not our loss.
Was Amir Taki forced out of Ahlulbayt TV?
Someone just sat up there. No, it was probably, I took the decision to leave.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's not my question. Was Amir Taki forced out to leave the channel?
Forced out?
Forced out. Forced to make a decision.
I took that decision myself.
Of course, you repeat. I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
of course, no one made.
Yeah, for what?
Were you forced to make a decision?
No, but the chain.
I'm not going to ask you for the reasons, by the way.
The chain of events was started by me. The chain of events started by me. I made a decision 6 months before, where it was a risky decision. I made a move. It's like a game of chess, and I made the first move. It was a risky move, but I made this very
I like
dangerous.
How you used the example of chess.
Yeah, I made a dangerous maneuver, right? And I done it in goodwill, and I wanted to roll the dice basically. This is kind of like this is and it was reaching a stage whereby we needed to change. We needed to kind of change kind of the environment, and events led to events where I was in a position whereby I was on the table. I said to the channel, I said, look, we can make this project a lot bigger. We want to achieve more. We had a meeting after Ramadan that year earlier on, and we decided how could we improve the channel. We outlined different visions. We had the next 10 years at a huge meeting, and everyone thought it was a waste of time, but still now it's very profound. That day, I don't know if you're
fish scale.
Yeah. Fish scale. I can't remember. I just copied it from online. Just sat down and pretended I knew what I was doing. So we did like a strategy meeting and vision, and we realized that we need serious investment. And we looked at the problems and the difficulties, and then so it came to a stage for me now where I've 10 years on the channel, did a lot of work. It's reached a glass ceiling now. Keep banging on the same ceiling, rejected, back forth, and we're not really making that. So I rolled the dice, and that dice roll didn't go in my favor. Obviously, I realized then that for me to leave, I needed to make a hoo-ha. I can't just walk away and say, yeah, I'm leaving. It's not. I can't do that. I had to say to myself, I had to basically say, let me go out with a bang. And my decision was that if the channel wants to progress, I set out some conditions. Let's go forward now. I was so ambitious that I wanted to go to the next level. I was like, let's go to the next level. Let's push. And not everyone shared my ambition. This is a problem. Like, I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to go.
Do you regret leaving?
No.
Now that you've, it's been a few years now.
It's 2 years and a half now. Yeah, I don't regret. March 19. Now we're January, February, January 22. Yeah, I don't regret leaving, but there was a huge vacuum that I had in whatever, even not till now, probably up until a year ago, it was a vacuum that I kept. It's always I was so busy before, I was so overwhelmed, and even though I'm busy now or busy that time, but I still felt that vacuum of I couldn't fill that vacuum, but I don't regret that moment. I think it was the right time to leave. It was a time for me to move on, and the channel, the channel I was involved in co-founding it. From before it started, I was involved. Before even 3 years before that, I was involved, and I reached a stage whereby, if we're gonna grow, we needed to make change, and not everybody wanted that change. So I said, either you, let's do this, or I'm out. So there was no appetite, and there was no choice for me except to,
So you were forced to make that decision. To answer my question at the
Yeah,
beginning.
but I could have stayed.
Of course,
I could
but
have
not
stayed.
on your not on your terms.
Not on my terms, yeah. Not on my terms. So I left because my terms weren't met.
You set terms, they weren't met.
Yeah, and it's perfectly reasonable. If not everybody has to sing from the same hymn sheet.
Of course.
If not everybody wants to do that, then that's fine.
Again, I'm not in any way putting blame, because
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, the channel's still there and you're still here.
To be honest with you, I don't think, if retrospectively speaking, I don't know if I would have achieved what I would have achieved had I got the channel what I wanted as my terms.
Yeah.
Because that's very idealistic. I wanted something really crazy. I want to push out to the next level, but I don't know if I was going to achieve that. It was very idealistic. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you know what? You've done what you can here now. You need to move on to something else. And sometimes we don't see that in that space of time. That last meeting we had in the office,
Yeah.
and I was telling everybody that I'm leaving, and Basri was recording. I don't know where that tape is, basically.
Yeah,
That
I
tape,
wonder where that is.
that was a filthy meeting.
Look for it, Amir Sadiq. Do you, of course, there was, some people were saying, okay, now Amir is going to open a new channel. Knowing that you had that experience that you did at 10 years at Ahlulbayt TV, do you see yourself opening a channel? Is it the way forward for us as a community, or is that now not even on your mind to have a channel, for example, a Shia channel?
I think a channel is just it's not the end goal at the moment. Channels are just a platform. So if you're making content, I'm still making content. So tomorrow, if I feel like I need to make a channel because it'll help serve my cause, it's not something impossible. Yeah, and it's not something like but it's not my end goal. I think now for me, a channel is not an end goal. The end goal is to create content. If I'm still creating content, if tomorrow I feel like there's an opportunity for me to create a channel to create to project my content, not to create more content. I'm already creating content. I'll just scale up my content creation. Then yeah, I don't see it as like it's just although it's like £250,000 a year, it's not very expensive, in the grand scheme of things. So it's not like any channels are outdated. Yeah, channels are like they're limited. Yeah, people are watching everything online, but it still has this, there's a big discussion on this about, can channels still serve a purpose? Ramadan, Muharram, people like watching the channel during live events, and it makes a big impact.
You chose the word legacy. Obviously, a lot of maybe our viewers, listeners know that you were involved in the legacy. Interestingly, the legacy was established while you were at Ahlulbayt TV, if I'm not mistaken, 2014, Muharram 2014. The legacy was established, but alhamdulillah, it's going on, and you have those that haven't seen it, a museum style exhibition in northwest London at Al Majlis Al Husseini, which you and brother Sayyid Hassanin. And it was about Imam Ali alayhi salam this year. The previous years it was about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So inshallah, people can come and visit if they haven't already. But why legacy? What does legacy mean to you? Not the exhibition, obviously.
The legacy is the name that it just reminds me of Imam Hussein's sacrifice and what he left for us. He left us a legacy. So it's something that it reminds me of what he done for all of us, what he gave in terms of his family, his friends, his companions, his woman, and he gave all for Islam. He left us a legacy that we should try to mimic, try to follow, and try to adhere to. The legacy project, amongst other projects I'm doing the Dawn Foundation, which I do animation videos. We have an online school as well for kids, We have the legacy that I'm involved in as well. It's a visual, immersive exhibition, like you said. And also I'm doing commercial work. I produce content for different charities. I give them media strategy. I advise them how to make content. And that's what I do now in my life. Still involved in content creation in different capacities. But inshallah, I'm looking forward to the future for bigger and more important things, inshallah.
Haji Amir, thank you for your time. Inshallah, the viewers, the listeners will enjoy this podcast like I have. And we pray for your success in whatever you go on to achieve, inshallah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and your family. Thank you.
Hasan, thank you.